The crashed transport vessel Void Whisper screamed through New Kepler's atmosphere like a dying star, its hull glowing cherry red as atmospheric friction tore at its wounded frame. Inside, Zara Velneth clutched the emergency harness with four-fingered hands, her violet skin pale with shock. The ship's navigation AI had failed 3 jumps ago, leaving them drifting in uncharted space until this planet's gravity well caught them. Metal shrieked against stone as the Void Whisper carved a jagged furrow across the colony's outer planes. The impact threw Zara forward, and she felt her left leg snap like brittle wood. Pain lanced through her nervous system, triggering an ancient evolutionary response. Her pupils dilated to black pools, and her mind began recording everything with crystalline clarity, every sensation, every detail, every face she might encounter. When consciousness returned, she lay half buried beneath twisted metal, her translation implant sparking against her temple. Through the wreckage, she glimpsed a human approaching, tall, weathered, with kind eyes that seemed genuine in the planet's amber twilight. "Easy there," the human said, his voice muffled through her damaged translator. "I'm Marcus Webb. I live about 2 kilometers from here. Can you understand me?" Zara tried to respond, but only clicking sounds emerged from her throat. Her species' natural language was untranslatable without technological assistance, and the implant was clearly malfunctioning. She managed a weak nod instead. Marcus worked carefully to free her from the debris, his movements gentle as he examined her injuries. "That leg's in bad shape," he murmured. "Good thing I found you before the scavengers. This sector doesn't get much patrol coverage." He fashioned a crude splint from wreckage and helped her to a small hover sled he'd brought. The journey to his outpost passed in a haze of pain, but Zara's enhanced memory recorded every detail: the rocky terrain, the isolation of his settlement, the fact that no other humans seemed to be around for kilometers. Webb's outpost was a modest, prefabricated structure surrounded by mining equipment and communication arrays. Inside, he settled her on a medical cot in what appeared to be his workshop. "I've got some basic medical supplies," he said, checking her leg. "Nothing fancy, but it should help. You're lucky I heard the crash." His smile seemed warm, reassuring. "Don't worry, I'll take good care of you until we can figure out how to contact your people." Zara managed another nod, playing the role of grateful victim. But deep in her mind, her species' survival protocols were already analyzing every word, every gesture, every micro-expression. Something about his tone, when he said "take care of you," made her enhanced memory flag the moment for special attention. She would remember everything. The facada 3 days passed before Marcus Webb's true nature began to surface. At first, he maintained the caring rescuer act, bringing Zara nutrient paste that roughly matched her species' dietary needs, checking her splinted leg, even attempting basic communication through gestures and crude drawings. But Zara noticed the subtle changes, how his eyes lingered on her when he thought she wasn't looking, how he tested her reactions by moving closer than necessary during medical checks, how he began locking the outpost's main door for security reasons. On the 4th morning, the pretense cracked. "Time to earn your keep," Marcus said, setting a cleaning kit beside her cot. His voice had lost its gentle tone. "I've been feeding you, sheltering you. Least you can do is make yourself useful." Zara stared at the cleaning supplies, then at him, confusion evident on her alien features. She gestured to her injured leg and shook her head. Marcus's expression hardened. "Don't play dumb with me. I've seen your kind before, tougher than you look. That leg's not as bad as you're pretending." He grabbed her arm, his grip tight enough to bruise. "Now get up and clean this place, or maybe I'll forget to feed you tomorrow." The threat was clear, even through the language barrier. Zara's enhanced memory recorded every micro-expression, every vocal inflection, as Marcus revealed his true self. Her legs still throbbed with genuine pain, but she forced herself to stand, using the wall for support. "That's better," Marcus smiled, but it was predatory now. "See, I knew you were tougher than you looked." Over the following days, the pattern established itself. Marcus would leave for his mining operations, locking her inside the outpost. Upon his return, he expected the facility cleaned, his meals prepared from ration packs, his equipment maintained. Any resistance was met with withheld food or medical supplies. Zara played the role of broken victim perfectly, but her species' biological adaptations were working continuously. Her fractured leg was healing at an accelerated rate, hidden beneath the splint. More importantly, her damaged translation implant was slowly reconstructing itself through biotech integration, her body treating the device as an injured organ to be repaired. Each night, while Marcus slept, Zara tested her growing mobility in careful increments. She memorized the outpost's layout, identified the locations of communication equipment, and studied the security systems. Her enhanced memory didn't just record it, analyzed, categorized, and planned. Marcus Webb thought he had found a helpless victim to exploit. Instead, he had rescued a predator whose species had survived countless wars through one simple principle: never forget who wronged you, and never let them escape the consequences. The translator's repair process was nearly complete. Soon, she would no longer need to remain silent. The awakening be the second week. Zara's translator implant had achieved partial functionality. She could understand perhaps 60% of Marcus Webb's words, enough to confirm what her instincts had already told her. She was not a guest, but property. Expecting a supply run next month, Marcus was telling someone over his comm system, "Yeah, I'll need extra food rations. Got myself a little helper now." His laugh made Zara's skin crawl. Local salvage, you might say, real exotic type purple. Skin for fingers, keeping her useful. Zara continued scrubbing the floor near his feet, maintaining her submissive posture while her enhanced memory recorded every word. The supply runner's response was telling. "Lucky you, Webb. Heard those alien types are good workers once you break them in proper. Trick is showing them who's boss early," Marcus replied, unconsciously flexing his hand. Little discipline goes a long way. That night, as Marcus slept off another bottle of synthetic alcohol, Zara carefully tested her leg. The bone had fused completely, stronger than before thanks to her species' emergency regeneration protocols. She could walk normally now, though she maintained the limp during daylight hours. More importantly, her neural pathways had fully integrated with the repaired translator. She understood every word of Marcus's conversations now, including his plans to trade her services to other isolated miners in exchange for supplies. The realization that she was intended as currency, rather than a person, triggered deeper biological responses. Her species, the Kefir, had evolved on a world where betrayal meant death. Those who survived developed not just enhanced memory, but enhanced pattern recognition and tactical planning. Zara's mind was now operating in full survival mode, treating Marcus as a predator to be neutralized. She began her own intelligence gathering. While pretending to clean, she accessed Marcus's terminal, her four-fingered hands surprisingly adept at human interfaces. His personal files revealed his history: discharged from colonial security for disciplinary issues, multiple complaints from fellow miners about inappropriate behavior, and most damning, correspondence about acquiring personal labor from crash sites. She wasn't his first victim. The terminal also revealed the outpost's security systems were entirely automated and controlled by a central AI that Marcus had modified to respond only to his biometric signatures. But like most humans, he had built backdoors for maintenance, backdoors that assumed only human standard interfaces. Zara's biology was decidedly non-standard. Her hands could interface directly with the outposts' neural networks through bioelectric contact. Her enhanced memory could process the security protocols faster than human consciousness could track, and her species' natural electromagnetic field could disrupt human technology in ways Marcus couldn't predict. On the 15th night of her captivity, as Marcus passed out in his chair after boasting to another miner about his well-trained alien, Zara stood fully upright for the first time in weeks. Her violet eyes reflected the console lights as she approached the main terminal. It was time to turn predator and prey around. Marcus Webb was about to learn why the Kefir had never been conquered. The revelation. Marcus Webb woke to absolute silence. His outpost, normally humming with the white noise of life support and mining equipment, had gone completely quiet. Emergency lighting cast everything in hellish red. and his breath misted in air that had grown uncomfortably cold. What the hell? He stumbled from his chair, head pounding from the previous night's drinking. Zara, what did you do to the power grid? No response came from the workshop area. Marcus grabbed a plasma torch and made his way through the corridors, expecting to find his alien prisoner cowering somewhere in the darkness. Instead, he found the workshop empty, the medical cot neatly made, and the splint he'd fashioned discarded in the corner. A soft chime echoed through the outpost, followed by a voice he'd never heard before, melodic, precise, and utterly alien. Marcus. Webb. The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. You have been judged. Marcus spun around. Plasma torch raised. Where are you? Show yourself. I am here, the voice replied. A figure stepped from the shadows near the main console. Zara, but transformed. She stood at her full height, no longer hunched in submission. Her violet skin seemed to pulse with bioluminescent patterns, and her dark eyes reflected the emergency lights like mirrors. I have always been here, watching, recording, learning. You can talk. Marcus's voice cracked. This whole time, you could understand me. For the past week. Yes, every word. Zara moved with fluid grace, no trace of injury remaining. Every plan you made, every conversation about trading my services, every detail of your previous victims. Marcus raised the plasma torch, but nothing happened. The device remained cold and dead in his hands. Your weapons will not function, Zara continued, calmly, nor will your communications ray, your door locks, or your emergency beacon. I have assumed control of all systems. That's impossible. The security protocols are designed for human limitations. Zara placed one four-fingered hand against the main console. Immediately, holographic displays erupted around them, showing system diagnostics, communication logs, and most damning of all, Marcus's personal files. My species evolved capabilities you cannot comprehend. Marcus backed against the wall as the displays cycled through evidence of his crimes. Messages about acquiring labor from crash sites, complaints from victims who had escaped, communications with other miners who shared his proclivities. You're not just a predator, Marcus Webb, Zara said, her voice carrying an undertone that made his bones ache. You're part of a network, a system that preys on the vulnerable, the isolated, the voiceless. Now wait, Marcus stammered. I saved you. I could have left you to die in that wreckage. You saved me to exploit me. There's no virtue in preserving life, only to abuse it. The bioluminescent patterns on Zara's skin pulsed brighter. But I am not merely a victim seeking personal revenge. I am an instrument of justice. The displays shifted, showing real-time communication links to colonial security, mining cooperatives, and most prominently, to the other isolated outposts in Marcus's network. Your crimes are being broadcast now to every authority within 50 light years, Zara announced. Your co-conspirators are receiving similar attention. The network ends tonight. Marcus lunged for the manual override panel, but found himself unable to move. Some force held him in place, not painful but absolutely immovable. How he whispered. My people call it the silence, Zara replied. Justice that comes without violence, but with absolute certainty. The reckoning dawn broke over New Kepler's mining sector as colonial security vehicles descended on Marcus Webb's outpost. The lead transport contained Inspector Joran Nakamura, whose career had been built on investigating crimes against non-human colonists. He'd received the anonymous transmission 12 hours ago, a complete dossier on a human trafficking network that had operated in the outer colonies for years. Perimeter secured, his lieutenant reported as they approached the outpost. No response to our hails. All systems appear operational, but the main door is sealed. Carefully, Nakamura warned. According to this intelligence package, there's an alien victim inside. We don't know her condition. The outpost's main door cycled open as they approached, revealing a scene that would haunt Nakamura for years. Marcus Webb sat in the center of his common area, completely motionless, staring at a wall display that showed his own crimes in meticulous detail. His eyes tracked the officer's movement, proving consciousness, but he seemed incapable of speech or voluntary motion. Medical team to the common area. Nakamura called. We've got a human male in some kind of catatonic state. Inspector? The voice came from behind them, melodic, alien, but speaking perfect colonial standard. They turned to see a tall figure with violet skin and luminous dark eyes, wearing clothes that appeared to be fashioned from salvaged fabric. I am Zara Velneth. I believe you received my transmission. Nakamura studied her carefully. No visible injuries, no signs of abuse, but something in her posture suggested recent trauma overcome through tremendous will. You're the victim mentioned in the files. I was, Zara replied. Now I am a witness and an agent of justice. As the medical team examined Marcus, Nakamura reviewed the evidence Zara had compiled: communication logs, financial records, video, surveillance, and testimonials from other victims across the sector. The scope was staggering: a network of 24 isolated miners who trafficked in alien labor, trading victims like commodity shares. How did you gather all this? Nakamura asked. My species has certain capabilities, Zara replied diplomatically. We are very good at remembering injustices. The investigation took 3 days to complete. Marcus never regained the ability to speak or move voluntarily, though medical scans showed no physical damage. The other members of his network were found in similar states, conscious but completely passive, surrounded by evidence of their crimes. Some kind of neurological weapon? One medical examiner suggested. No damage to nervous tissue, another replied. It's as if their capacity for voluntary action has simply stopped. Zara provided no explanation for the phenomenon, referring only to natural consequences when pressed. Colonial law had no framework for prosecuting someone who had committed no violence, yet had somehow neutralized multiple criminals across several worlds simultaneously. On the 4th day, a Kefir diplomatic vessel arrived to collect Zara. As she prepared to leave, Inspector Nakamura had one final question. Will they recover? Zara paused at the transport's threshold. My people believe that justice is not punishment, but balance. Marcus Webb and his network stole the freedom of others. Now they understand what it means to have no choices, no control, no voice. She looked back at the outpost one final time. They will live, Inspector. They will eat, sleep, breathe, but they will never again have the power to hurt the vulnerable. The diplomatic vessel lifted off into New Kepler's amber sky, carrying with it the last victim of Marcus Webb's crimes. Behind them, colonial authorities struggled to process 24 criminals who could never be truly prosecuted, yet would never again be capable of crime. In the end, Zara Velneth had given them something more permanent than imprisonment: the absolute certainty that their predatory days were over forever.